I wanted to start this video by saying a quick thank you to all of you, because last week the channel celebrated quite a significant milestone. And yeah, it's just really humbling. So thank you very much. Life is all about swinging with your eyes closed, and maybe you hit, maybe you miss. And when it comes to release predictions, I've had a bit of a lucky streak over the last few years. Don't ask me how I do it. Something that makes me laugh is that when we look back on the channel a couple of months ago for my 2025 Tudor release predictions video, on that thumbnail, I decided to use my dream Pelagos FXD as the example watch. Blackout case, dialed, bezel, left-hand drive crown. And for the thumbnail, I gave it one line of teal text on the dial. Only for the thumbnail, not for the actual video. So does that count? You tell me. So I've been getting into running shoes lately. Bear with me on this, it's an allegory. And I can just imagine how newcomers to something like our watch hobby must feel in this scenario. Sheer overwhelm. Do you want recovery shoes, or daily drivers, or marathon shoes, or half marathons? Apparently the list today is endless. Shoes, they're not just shoes anymore. What kind of drop do you want in your soles? Are you a heel striker, mid striker, toe striker? So how does this equate to what we're talking about today? When eyes are on Tudor, most eyes are on the Black Bays, obviously. And while the Black Bay 58 Cherry Red Burgundy was one of the hotly discussed pieces, along with the Black Bay Pro Opaline, the Pelagos line, with all of its subtleties, continues to impress. Many of you have been asking about my thoughts around the Pelagos Ultra, which frankly is the one watch that has appealed to me the most. And it's just great seeing how quiet the Ultra launch was. Matte black, simple, no frills, a touch of color on the dial. This is their deepest diver to date, with a design that is almost perfect, at least to my eye. And I'm going to be incredibly biased in this one, because I'm sure most of you know the Pelagos is my favorite Tudor watch, and it looks like it always will be. So I guess if we really want to condense and compress deep dive watch history down to a few sentences, we have to look at Comex. This was the start of it all. Compagnie Maritime d'Expertise, a company that was very much foremost in the development of deep sea diving, saturation diving, experimentation underwater, and how saturation diving intersected with the development of such high-tech dive watches. It's an amazing story, and I think the romance surrounding it was that it was at a time where these professional instruments were needed. These were vital tools for the job. Nowadays, all of us look at helium escape valves on the sides of watches and think, okay, well, it's a nice feature to have, but it's unnecessary. But we forget about the countless hours, the experiments, the patents, the designs that went forward to develop these watches into the way that they are today. And it is a part of dive watch history that most of us know, the Plongeur Professionnel, the 1665 Sea Dweller. Or if you want to really get technical, I think it was a 5513 that started it all. But it is so important to go back to first principles and ask the basic questions of, what is the point of owning a dive watch with such a ridiculous depth rating? And I know this opens its own can of worms. What is the point of owning a dive watch if you never go into the water? What is the point of owning a marathon shoe if you only run 5Ks? And maybe there is a correlation between oversized, overbuilt, and high performance. Going back to running shoes again, there is something to be said about these endurance shoes. Bigger is better, apparently. 40mm thick soles, for one thing. 40mm stacked heels. Nike Alpha Fly, Vaporfly, Adidas, Adios. And we look at these dive watches that travel down to ridiculous depths, and they're built with similar specifications. Stupidly thick cases from 15mm all the way up to 18mm and beyond. Cases and bracelets made of titanium, high performance material, lightweight. Having all of these great gadgets on board, like ratcheting bezels, helium escape valves, very high performance loom. Could we say that these ultra deep dive watches are the marathon running shoes of today? I don't know. But what I enjoy most with what Tudor is doing in this field, and frankly what they have always done with the Pelagos, is compete with their main rivals, sure, but in so many ways they offer a spectacular alternative with awesome specifications, and they one-up these rival brands at their own game. The introduction of the 42mm Pelagos, with all of its amazing specifications, to this day, it is a terrific watch. Considering it was offered standard with 500 meters of water resistance, helium escape valve, matte ceramic bezel, full titanium case, bracelets. and even additional rubber straps supplied with it. This watch was seen from the very beginning as the professional instrument, and it was aimed to that audience. And just from personal experience, the Pelagos FXD, it's been on my wrist now for 3-4 years at this point, and I have never looked at a Submariner the same way again. This watch, in fact, met everything I ever wanted out of a dive watch, and I use it. Considering now that Tudor has created a Pelagos that is rated to 1,000 meters, double the original, but a model that is actually wearable as a deep dive watch. That is the big news. A thinner overall mid-case, the watch being about 14.5 millimeters thick, the diameter of the watch sitting at about 42.8 millimeters if my numbers are right. Still offered as a full titanium dive watch with a rubber strap, with one of the best and most customizable clasps in the business. I believe it is a triumph in so many ways, and it definitely appeals to me. But do saturation dive watches even have a place today? I mean, having a watch rated to 200 meters is more than ludicrous. The average person would never go anywhere close, not even the professionals travel that far on a good day. I guess it all circles back around to brands flexing their muscles, to showing off what they are capable of. And just to look at the rival designs and the rival watches competing with the Pelagos Ultra, look at Omega's Planet Ocean Ultra Deep, which came out a few years back. Yes, their depth rating is a lot higher, but at what cost? Massively thick cases, crystals. I guess one good thing they have going for these watches is that they've created such an excellent hermetic seal that they don't require any kind of helium escape valve or crown to release the helium gas. And the chief rival to the Pelagos is the Rolex Sea Dweller. Massive in size, massive in thickness, 44 millimeters in diameter. It does wear well on the wrist, but it is still incredibly thick. What Tudor has done in this category is bypass a lot of the superfluous, not using stainless steel for these watches, opting for titanium always. And in here, both Rolex and Omega offer similar watches, the highest performers of deep diving watches. The Ultra Deep Titanium, which is a personal favorite of mine, not that I'd ever be able to wear it on my wrist, but maybe on my ankle. The Rolex Deep Sea Challenge in titanium, which I think lasted in their catalog for about 2 years. And you don't want to know the sorts of prices that these watches are going for on the grey markets. It's sad. Much like the first generation 42mm Pelagos, the Ultra, now at 43mm, is still undercutting its competition and producing a fabulous watch at the same time, with a design that is so close to being spot on. Don't worry, I'm going to criticize it now. Seeing how the Ultra has fed into the Pelagos family, now next to the FXD, next to the Pelagos 39, at the heart of it, it is the subtlety of this watch that allows for its design to stand so tall. And this one really hits the nail on the head. From the text arrangement, the near seamless integration of the date window, the increased size of the crown, the bezel knurling which has more serrated teeth, the crown guards which now have a lot more presence. And then we get to the T-fit micro-adjusting clasp with a ratcheting spring-loaded mechanism, then expands even further out when you flip out the diver's extension. It is a work of genius. It's such a good thing. Not even Rolex is on this level. I mean, just think about that. So compared to the previous generation of the Pelagos 42mm, what does the Ultra manage to achieve? It has a thinner case profile. It has a shorter lug-to-lug length. It has double the depth rating. It has a far cleaner dial. It has an improved bezel with better knurling. It has a better clasp, with a couple of other aesthetic changes dotted in there too. But when I say that this piece is almost perfect, there are some things that I wish they hadn't changed, and others that I wish they had. The bezel insert, for one, I think was left the same to be in line with the original 42mm. It keeps the relationship going, and I think for most of us out there, it probably wouldn't affect your aesthetic tastes. But the one innovation that I simply adore about the Rolex Sea Dweller and the Pelagos FXD, graduations. I would want to see graduated lines around the bezel completely. This is also taking some inspiration out of the Ultra Deep and what Omega has done with the bezel on that watch. Maybe instead of the lines being so aggressive around the insert, they could have been smaller in size. One detail that I also like is that the 10 offers great symmetry across the bezel. The new chapter ring on this dial is one that's hotly debated, but in fact I like the way it's been positioned. There is more of a simple quality to it. It's a bit more timeless in the way it's been done. It creates opportunity for the indices to be shifted into the dial more, which makes its overall visual size look smaller. I know many have said that they prefer how the indices have been integrated into the minute track of the older models, but either way. But the one thing about this watch that has put me off the maxi hands. One side of the coin, I can understand why it was done. Better legibility, easier to see in the dark. The other side is that it separates it from the rest of the Pelagos collection and shows that it is the Ultra as opposed to any other model in the line. For the enthusiasts out there who hate the snowflake hand, this will make you hate it even more. And I personally think it's just too much. It dominates the dial in excess. And I think seeing a thinner handset on this dial would just look superb. The similar criticism I've had about Rolex and the Explorer 2, the modern collection, I feel it's just a bit too much. For saying all of this, the watch is like 92.5% there. With a fully graduated bezel insert and a thinner handset, I would have been all over it. This watch would have been mine. But alas, it was never meant to be so. The launch of the Pelagos Ultra yet again keeps me so enthusiastic about what Tudor is capable of doing with their pieces. It's one time when they can really take the gloves off and show what they're capable of. For somebody out there, the Ultra could be all the watch you would ever want. I think the long and short of it is that the Ultra has positioned itself in such a great place. Where its depth rating of 1,000 meters, it's not absurd like 3,000 or 6,000. It's just the right amount. You're dealing with a watch that's relatively thin in comparison, that has a wearable diameter, using a material like titanium, which is always going to be light and comfortable on the wrist. And I think some of the bigger names should be looking at this as a prime example of how to address a deep diver. A model that in fact aligns with Tudor's identity, that does dare to be different, that uses technology and systems that some of the big names don't even offer. So I would like to know your thoughts on the Pelagos Ultra. Is this the high performance marathon shoe of today? Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. See you in the next one.